music for me is a form of meditation in a way. It's like one of those things where it's like it helps me center myself to become like better, and it's like just combining like the kind of like a Zen focus towards your craft is a big thing for me. It's like I really just appreciate like being in the moment and understanding some things you can't control, and understanding that you're here and you have to do things, and like whatever you do, you will remain until you're not here anymore. But just your journey it can be simpler than you think it is, and like while achieving these goals that are hard, it's like if you just kind of calm your mind and like push forward, it's different. Instead of like, oh my god, I gotta worry about this bill, I gotta worry about this fucking goddamn song, I gotta spend 3 hours on this.
Right. I see what you're saying. Like a lot of people choose actively to not take the path of least resistance.
Yeah,
because I feel like there's association with like there has to be like an earned struggle for you to like feel good about like making progress, but it doesn't always have to be that way.
Well, the struggle is real for sure, but what happens is if your mindset isn't right during that struggle, you're gonna panic. You're gonna freak the fuck out and say you can't do it. Right. But if you're like sitting there and you're like, you tell yourself to breathe and be like, whatever happens, I have to play the show. Oh, yeah. I have to do this hard task or whatever. And then you do it because you love it wholeheartedly, and you're like, you're in it and you're not complaining. I'll complain, but I'm not saying you like, it's a good exercise not to complain and say negative things towards yourself when you're like going through hard stuff. Yeah. And it's like, and at the end of it, you get these accomplishments instead of living like and trying to make this end goal. It's just like these little goals that like come up, and like instead of living each day by day, you live in goals, and you're like, oh man, I'm trying to accomplish this, trying to do this, and what's next on the list of things. And it's like, I don't know, it's just trying to be positive. And like, funny story, it's like I like through time I've had like anger issues as a musician, as most musicians do. Thank you. And
I can relate.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like you're walking through life chaotically.
Like, I fucking suck.
Yeah,
I'm broke.
Yeah.
My amp broke.
No, well, like
my guitar fell off my wall. Like I was hanging up my
my God.
I was hanging up my fucking guitar. Like that shit was so annoying, dude. I was hanging up all my guitars and stuff on the wall the other day, and then that shit just like fell off the fucking.
Yeah, your shit
it's
fell
garbage.
off the wall.
Where I had my shit up for. It was up on the wall. I was like, I think it's good. And then at like 1 a.m., it just crashed down to the. I was
That's
like,
fuck.
I heard that shit, bro. My heart dropped, bro.
It was so bad.
Me and this fool share a wall, so like it was just like. He's like, God damn it! I was like,
yeah.
I was like, I don't want to laugh, but the shock. It's a shock response.
Well, that's your baby falling off the damn wall. You know what I'm saying?
Luckily, it's okay.
But that's understandable about getting angry. But I would get angry over dumb shit. I would get angry at people who are like have nothing to do with me for no reason. And like, but what happened to me was I ended up breaking my leg at a party.
What the fuck?
And I spent 6 months in a wheelchair playing gigs, and I was like so sad. I was like feeling sad for myself. But then my drugged out homie, thank you, drugged out homie. He gave me this book called 101 Zen Stories, and I really appreciate. And then I had that plus this book called The Book of Five Rings, and it was just like
yeah, we have that.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. I was like, damn, but it's just Asian philosophy. But like the Zen stories are really cool because they can be a page or they can be like 10 pages of just these like stories of like practices of Zen,
right?
And you kind of get the concept of like just like what it is and like how you can use it. And like I'm not saying I'm like I'm this and that, but I'm just like it's just like a concept. Is like what musicians live for. Our harmonies concept, rhythms concept, what do you call it? Composition's a concept. And it's like, it's one of those things where like concepts are something we draw in and like add to our style of living and love life and like use it as a tool of like an extension of ourselves. Yeah. And it's like, when I read that, it really helped me out because like, I don't know, it's like no matter if you're a master of something, you still got to keep pushing forward. Like, before you're a Zen master, you tend to the garden, get to the well. After you're a Zen master, you tend to the garden and get to the well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's like such really a thing as like a magnum opus. Like your greatest work, it's over. It's like there's always a need to distill the abstract back down into something that's concrete for people to, be able to enjoy and understand. So,
dude, well, like that's the thing. You'll try to like put this thing on a pedestal that you think is something to reach towards, and you realize it's like if you just do what you need to do to make yourself better, things around you will get better. And it's like, I'm not saying like we're all perfect. I'm just saying that like we have the ability in ourselves to like affect our surroundings where we can be positive. We can help people who aren't positive become positive. You can make like you. I was talking to a friend today, and he was just like, and I was like, I was just saying things to him, like trying to cheer him up. But then you see that thing that lights up in their eyes that you connected, and you gave them something nice, and it's like that's what. But the way I've learned that is by talking with people who've done that for me. You know what I mean? It's a constant circle of like supporting everybody because shit's hard. Shit's stressful. Following something there's no certain path for is crazy. It's honestly insane. It's like, what are you talking about? I gotta go do that. That's what you're gonna do? It's like, yes. But that's what you guys are doing it. You guys are doing something.
I'm trying to.
No, you guys are doing it. This is something, because when people say they're like, oh, I got a podcast, they're like, it's a microphone in the bathroom. You know what I mean?
We're slightly above that at this point.
But it's not even just like, because like, I'm not saying I'm like a crazy, like, I don't know. I'm like, where I want to be musician wise. It's just like I'm on the right step, and like I'm saying, you guys are on the right step to getting where you want to get.
I think a quick shout out again to everybody who watches this show. Fucking thank you. Wouldn't
for
real.
We wouldn't be doing this if people didn't fucking watch. So
the best thing y'all can do. Is drop a little motherfucking like on the video. Drop a subscribe if you haven't already.
Please
turn on that notification bell. Do all that fun stuff. Leave a
Support
comment.
these fellas, man. They're good people and they do good things, and like they're just trying to make people happy.
We're not trying to harbor the Zudepocalypse. Don't worry about that. There's no mega plan from a planet far away, many light years away. Don't worry about us.
You said there was.
We're just the boys.
You said there was before we started.
What do you mean? Shut the fuck up.
But there's a whole plane drew.
You're gonna get the Zude Castle drone strike again.
Again. The Zudes got drone strike by Joe Biden, by the way. So I don't know if anybody knows that.
Thanks.
It's canonically factual.
It is canonical.
I think to your point though, that's kind of what makes it important to be a multifaceted person and don't just dunk all of your XP points into music. Yeah. Because if you do that, you will hit a wall. I mean, some people can get away with it. Like you can sort of get away with just shoving yourself in your room, just be like, all right, I'm just going to practice and just gig and do all this. But like right now I'm at the point where, 5-6 years ago, I was barely playing any gigs at all. Yeah. If I played a gig, it was like a favor for someone or a house party or whatever. I didn't make a fucking dime. Nope. After gas and after
you're out
like the gear that you had to buy, you're in the negative.
You're bringing to the party is stupid.
And that's sort of the point where we're at with the ZUDECAST right now, where it's like we do it because we love to do it, but it's like we're not making money off this shit at all yet. Yeah. But because I already have the experience of doing music and getting to the point where I'm like, damn, a couple months ago I was like, wow, that was like more than half of my income was just from music, and I never thought that was possible. But it's like, oh shit, there it is. It is, and it totally can happen with anything else you do. Like once you accomplish one challenge in one realm of your life, it's a lot easier to rationalize that and see how you can do that with other
I think all of us
trades.
are super multifaceted too, and like multi-talented. We all have our own branches and avenues of shit we're working on, and that's what really, to me, like I always said, I was like, ZUDECAST is even like we've kind of put a lot of effort into it because it's kind of taken, I feel like, the most effort to like make it like an actual like impressive thing, but like we all do other stuff, and I always thought ZUDECAST is just a good thing to be supplementary to the other shit we all already do, and then that's where it all comes together in like a whirlwind, because again, you got to level up the different stats and angles and shit, and yeah, man. I had a question for you, Bryant, too, though, because I feel like a lot of musicians either approach it from like either like a kind of really like some emotional, like kind of like a sort of like emotional spiritual side, or like a mathematical side too. That's kind of the two ways I feel like a lot of people approach music. Yeah. And especially you go pretty fucking ham sauce on the bass. Like what's the overlap like on that? Do you like in a mathematical slash?
So it's a combination of both, because like the thing of it is you're just moving air. If you think about it in a certain way, it's in a certain way to manipulate people's emotions. You're like they're with I realize with chords and like sounds, it's like what it is, it's like there's an absolute feeling that comes from it. What you call it is up to you, but there is something that happens there. Right. And like you feel it, everybody feels it. And it's with me, it's like at first when I first started playing, I had no lessons. The only experience I had was on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Playing in RVs, playing in sports bars, not making a damn dime, crying in an alleyway. And then like that's where I got like I would say the spiritual side of it, because I just played by feel. I just played by listening and emulating, and like but understanding like how powerful it was, because I see people's faces. I'm like, damn, they're enjoying that. Or they come up to you and like, good job. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. But it's like not in a way that you're expecting like a good job, but like you see that you affected them. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, with the mathematical side, also when I broke my leg, I hit up all my favorite bass players on all social media aspects, and it was just like, do you do lessons? And through that, the worst case, they say no, but like all of them said yes. And it was one of those things where I just made my own kung fu schools. I would just go to this guy, go to this master, go to this master, and through that, make a culmination of their knowledge and try to like make something that is a formula of like good playing. Something that is expressive, it's powerful, and it reaches people. And it's still something I'm always looking for, Yeah. But like there is a side of having to be mathematical in the spiritualism of it, because you have to be able to calculate and see what effects you have on the people around you. Like when you play these chords together, when you harmonize these things, what is the absolute effect that happens? What is the environment you create? And that environment's real. And it's like not something where it's like, oh, this is some, you're just playing things. It's like, no, you're like, I've seen motherfuckers cry. I played a solo in this nowhere bar in the middle of Grass Valley, and this bitch in American flag t-shirt said, "God bless America," started crying.
That's beautiful.
That's fire, bro.
But it's finding shit like that, and then going to the root of how music was created, and like how the teachers were, your teachers, who were their teachers, and just seeing that background, and then why
the grandfathers of your idea. Dude, there's an interesting video I watched where essentially it's like, take a look at like all the people that you idolize. Now look at the people they idolize and examine the concepts from that time period, and just based on the generational difference, all those ideas are now like coming into full fruition like in the modern age.
Well, and that's our job too, to like continue that cycle. Yeah. You know what I mean? You take what they got, and like they're gonna become the old dudes. And we're going to become the people on the scene, and then we're going to become the old dudes, and then we're going to have someone to help them out.
Such a trend.
And like that's what I love. And it's our absolute duty as creators of something positive to like pass it on to the next person who's whoever is willing to learn, and just like wanting to do something that's positive with life and just like push. And but that's the thing. It's like that combination of like spiritualism and like math. Like, oh my god, I love what I was calling.
Yeah, like you were saying, like a calculated use of an intuitive force, basically. Yeah. Like the emotional like context of what you're doing, like because you've done it so many times and have seen the like results of what happens.
Well, especially if you're filling in for another band too, 100%. And it's not your material that you're working on. It's all just like rote memorization, and you're throwing in a bit of your own.
Oh, you
stuff
have to.
You're throwing in your own swag into there, but at the same time, it's a lot of it is the more mathematical side.
Yeah, well, that's how I get through, because like if you have a minimal amount of time and you want to be able to speak the language and understand how the language was created, and like and to be able to play these types of things that I've never played before, I have to have all this background of like doing things. And not only that, you're filling in for somebody who's been playing with these people for years. Yeah. And it's like to make the band feel comfy, where they're like, okay, I'm glad we hired this guy, is a whole thing. And it's like, when it comes to like, how you want to have a knowledge of the primordial things, but you also want to be free and expressive to your craft, or else you'll get nowhere. You'll be too much into like, I don't know, worrying about things and stuff. So you have like, and that's where the Zen stuff comes in, like the spiritual.
You gotta have the clarity and the dexterity.
Yep.
To film it. Yeah.
I have to just praying.
Yeah, bro. Well, that reminds me of that shit though, for real, where it's like there's like the samurai fool who like sought enlightenment through he was like a Buddhist Japanese samurai fool, and he sought enlightenment through like the way of like learning how to be a dope swordsman and shit, bro. And it's all like, like any way you could learn to like manipulate like the world around you and your internal mind.
That's like the
Musashi or whatever?
That's the Book of Five Rings. That's the Book of Five Rings.
Yeah. That's
Musashi Miyamoto. Great fucking. It's so cool. It's just a cool legend. See, like us nerds, we're really into like this mythical shit, because it feels like you can become something bigger than life, and what the results are is like their message rings through time. Yeah, like that's what happens, and like we're learning something from like a fucking samurai in the 1600s. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I know that's pretty badass.